Good afternoon, the SPA. It's a pleasure to be here again in 2020 Insights edition. I hope all of you are doing well and keep safe. So unfortunately, due to agenda restrictions, we had to record this session beforehand. I know that it's going to be played out on Thursday afternoon, but I still hope that you have the energy to stay hooked to the screen, enjoy the session, and interact with the panel, posing questions that will ensure that those questions will be answered afterwards. So I'm delighted to have here today three amazing guests from three different industries. They are more than guests, they are partners and friends. I'm going to present immediately. So we have Ana Carolina Almeida. Ana is Head of Quality and Customer Insights at Vodafone. Ana, I'm delighted to have you here. Thank you so much. Then we have João Leal. João Leal basically is Information Lead at CUF, José de Mel Saúde. João, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And last but not the least, we have Jorge Simões, Head of Digital Factory at EDP. Jorge is already in EB2A, had been last year, and so thank you so much for accepting this year again. Three different persons from three different sectors, but at least with one thing in common: the passion about data, innovation, technology, and the drive and the willingness to help their organizations to shape into much more AI-based and driven organization. So having made introductions, we can say that Roundtable may begin. And I think it's consensual if I'll say that deep learning, machine learning applications had been exploited in the last years. Artificial intelligence is without doubt one of the most, I think, important and revolutionary trends of today and as well in the near future. Some may say that we are living in the age of AI.
Technology. It's advancing faster and taking less time to be widely adopted than ever before.
Launch AI.
AI is basically an emulation of us.
You're one very special person to me.
Autonomous driving started.
AI can give us that answer that we've been seeking all along. Are we alone?
Each time we create a more powerful technology, we create a bigger lever for changing the world.
Artificial intelligence can help us to feed the world population.
AI is teaching the machine and the machine becoming smart.
All out of the realm of sci-fi and magic, and now just science.
Ready?
We're at the dawn of a new age, the age of AI.
Okay, jokes apart, but we saw in the trailer basically applications, AI breakthroughs in different sectors in the industry. So basically what we are here today is basically to know a little bit better what AI breakthroughs, innovations, use cases are being done in Vodafone, CUF and EDP, what challenge do they have, how they are tackling them, and as well a bit their strategy for next year's. And in the end, a little bit about the vision of 2025. So I'm going to open the panel with the first question. So basically, I would like to know how AI is shaping your business. So Ana, I may start with you. We know that customers, they are each more demanding. They demand 24/7 the services to be up and running. So I would like to know how AI is helping Vodafone to enhance quality of services in areas as network optimization, predictive maintenance, and customer interaction.
Hi, and hello all, and thanks for the invitation. So I can say that AI is already widely spread into Vodafone, and it took our tools and our activities to a new level. I can share some use cases with you. We already have SON solutions, so self-optimized networks, where the algorithm can read the network status and take actions to correct any event or any misconfiguration that it might happen. We also have intelligent alarm correlation. So when we have a huge event in the network and we are flooded with alarms, we have intelligence to find the root cause more in an easy way. And when it's not possible to analyze all the alarms at the same time. And this is just to mention some.
Okay, do you want to mention any other or any trials that you're doing at the moment?
We are currently trialing some solutions regarding predictive maintenance and where we would like to explore a bit more how to predict certain events and where we want to react or even take actions on the network before our customers can even
So interesting. So what about you, Jorge? We know that we have a lot of things going on, renewables, decarbonization, electrification, and a lot of other things that are shaking the industry. What do you think is the AI role that contribute to a bit of competitive between your the players in the industry? Jorge, I think you're in mute. Sorry.
Yes, I was.
Now you have you.
It's the sentence of 2020, right? I was in mute. So I'm sorry about that. Thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here today as well. I was just saying, although in mute, that it's a great time to be working in energy. The energy industry is transforming tremendously. Digital transformation is at full speed in our industry. And so living in a time where the energy industry is transforming at this pace, and at the same time experiencing the impact of AI is absolutely breathtaking. So it's a fantastic moment for us. Digital transformation at EDP has been going on for a while, and in fact, we have three main streams where we can say that we're applying digital transformation, being that AI is present in these three streams across the board. So I would say the first stream is customer, very much focused on customer interactions, where we today already use chatbots. We use voice recognition in our customer-facing app. We use, for example, algorithms in our website for proposing new services to customers based on their browsing experience, the so-called next best action. We're starting to use some computer vision algorithms, for example, in our engagement program. So we might challenge our customers to upload photos of themselves doing a certain challenge. So we need to massively identify if that challenge is being fulfilled or not, and so computer vision is being used there. So that was the first stream, customer. The second stream is assets and operations. So EDP, obviously being a large industrial company, has thousands of assets. And by assets, of course, I mean from energy transmission and distribution lines to power plants to wind turbines and so on and so forth. So predictive maintenance is a huge driver for us. We're now in giving significant steps towards transforming our maintenance programs and incorporating predictive algorithms into that asset management strategy. Not only for the day-to-day short-term decisions, but also for longer-term decisions such as investment planning, also using predictive algorithms. And finally, the last stream for digital transformation at EDP is what we call enterprise, so a little bit more inward-facing, transforming the experience of employees and our internal processes. I can give you a couple of examples. In candidate selection, for example, in HR, we're now starting to use algorithms to screen through CVs. And in talent management internally, we're also using some algorithms to match supply and demand of internal talent. So as you can see, it's a very active area, very fast-growing area at EDP.
Well, interesting, very interesting. So we see that we're using predictive maintenance both in Vodafone and EDP, chatbot as well. So I think the whole NLP, computer vision, machine learning, so which is interesting, okay, even though that we are starting this new age, but it's interesting to see examples. What about you, João? We have seen and heard a lot of advance in disease prediction, I would say, in the field of medicine. I would like to know if you can share some of the examples that you're working on this field, okay, or any other that you would like to share with us today.
Of course. First of all, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure. It's quite a great moment to have telco, energy, and health to talk about AI. So let's go for this. Yes, we are in KUF. We are managing nowadays a huge transformation program called Go Forward, where we have in its essence data and analytics as a pillar. So we have been working on this theme for almost a year and a half now. And the foundations of what we need to do AI are in place. Nevertheless, the experimental part or the piloting part that we have already done for efficiency purposes or even for clinical purposes is already there. So we have some clinical imaging solutions already with AI embedded, which is quite interesting. It's in the core of our business and in use by doctors. But also we have a more enterprise view of some processes with the AI already enabled. For example, we have already a solution to somehow look for all our clinical annotation and to have NLP addressing the coding of our activity broadly. So we have a lot of unstructured data in healthcare as in other sectors. And that's the way we are addressing that to evolve. Also, we have some solutions with advanced analytics for budgeting purposes for surgery and also other experiments. As I said, the foundations are already set. We have some productive solutions already, but we are now in place to scale these solutions and to have a broader perspective in AI.
Okay, interesting. It was actually very interesting use cases. So I could see that you're using AI in different business in different areas, not only for the customer side, but for the operations, which is very interesting. And I can say that currently, well, by my experience, and I think you can agree with me, currently there aren't many people inside organizations with deep knowledge of AI that can leverage still AI, and so we have scarce of resources. One of the mega trends that Gartner identified this year was to do with about democratization of data. Okay, meaning that data and AI will be more accessible to business users and to users. So I would like to know a little bit about the challenge that you're facing and how you tackle it. I can start by you, Jorge, if you don't mind. So one of the things that I think that might prevent democratization is data accessibility and data quality. So we know that if you don't have right data, deep learning algorithms cannot work, or if they are biased, they can lead to bad outcomes. So do you want to share a little bit if you have those challenges and how you're tackling them?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you say, making data available is easier said than done. Especially for a large company like EDP, where with a huge number of assets, being that each of our assets spawns out massive amount of data on a daily basis. Just so that we can understand the sheer volume of data, I can tell you that one wind turbine produces about 300 data points every 6 seconds. Okay, so if you multiply that by a couple of thousand, actually many thousands wind turbines that we have under management, and if you multiply that by 24 hours in a day and 365 days a year, it's many trillions of data points that we have available. So and of course we have not only wind turbines, we have many other assets. So taking that data from its operational systems, from SCADA systems, and making it available is a massive challenge. Then of course we have not solved that. We are in the process of doing that, creating internal data lakes, corporate data lakes, obviously with the challenge that comes with deploying those data lakes, not only in terms of infrastructure, because we are also moving, making the move to the cloud, but also having to do with the structure of the company and the challenges that are associated. We are in many geographies. We collect data from around the world, basically. Different geographies have different governance and different laws regarding data that might be protected in many different levels. Energy, as you know, is a strategic asset, and many countries, like the United States, for example, have very strict regulations on what you can or cannot do with the data that you collect from those assets. Then, of course, we have all the questions about being a vertically integrated company, but in a business that is regulated at every step of the value chain. So, for example, a regulated monopoly such as distribution might not share its data with other parts of the business that are in unregulated markets like retail. So, as you see, it's a problem with many dimensions. It's a problem with many dimensions. Now, going to the question of democratizing data, yes, we are taking steps to have data available to the largest amount of people, obviously, that can work with it. At the same time, it brings another challenge, is that with data democratization also comes the challenge of data regulation, of internally regulating what you can do with the data. In the past, I mean, in the 90s, in the 2000s, it was very common within IT to have the problem of shadow IT, where basically you had the so-called mushrooms, technology mushrooms, growing up with your company without the knowledge of the IT department. So that brought a governance problem. And nowadays, I mean, we are almost facing the problem of having shadow AI. So you may want to govern within your company who does AI and what AI is done, so to make sure that your governance around that AI is proper.
Okay, well, challenging. It's not easy, and the problem, I think, will evolve, because as time goes by, we have more data, so it's going to be a challenge for I'm sure, for all of us. So another thing that I think touches a bit about the democratization is not only about the data. Okay, so today, data science, I think it leverages a lot on coding skills. We said that there are very few people that can handle AI still in the organizations. So the question here is that, do you think if the platforms that we use, the technology was a little bit more user-friendly, do you think this could reach more business users, and this could help to democratize AI inside the company? And do you want to share your thoughts about it, what you're doing, and if this is a problem for you?
Okay. Yes, this is a problem for us, but let me share with you some ideas before going to that. I think that I also agree with my colleagues. First of all, we need to control the huge amount of data that we have, and again, the knowledge around it, because we have data available, but sometimes people don't know how to work it and how to extract value from it. And this is the first step for any adoption of AI. If you don't control the data that you have, if you don't know how to use it, how to enhance it, how to take actions from the data that you have or from the information that you have, then you will not be able to create any AI on top of it. AI relies on data with quality, and data that is reliable, information that is reliable. So you need to create the information needed, and then to take actions and or to use AI on top of it. Then regarding AI, we are addressing it in two levels. We are creating what we call expert users. So we are upskilling our teams, and we are helping them to start working with AI, with the regular tools and with regular frameworks. We involve them in the creation of the use cases so they can see their ideas becoming reality. And this creates kind of a virtuous cycle where, well, ideas bring new challenges, challenges bring solutions, solutions bring new ideas, and so on and so on. So in our way of seeing this, we like to give them formal training, but the best way for them to know and to manage and to control AI is to do this on job, so they can implement their ideas and they can test it. But of course, this is for experts or advanced users. For turning Vodafone and our company into AI company, we need to put everyone talking about AI, and to do so, we cannot bring everyone to know how to code and how to work with all the models that are available. So we really trust that we should rely on some AutoML tools that we are already experimenting and that we are already adopting in Vodafone, where people can use it to test some solutions, to test some ideas, to use it like in some actions that don't need to be so accurate, so where the model doesn't need to be so tuned, but where it can support some ideas. So I have this idea, I will validate it with an AutoML tool just to see if I'm on the right track or if it can support my decision. So this is kind of basically where we are trying to leverage. So we turn this AI into something that's it's within our daily activity. It's not a myth, it's not something spectacular that it's millions of years away of us. No, machine learning is already here, AI is already here, we can use it, and we want to bring everyone on board of it.
Awesome, fantastic to hear that. So it's good that we are upskilling the knowledge inside the company, because the scarcity of resources, it's impossible to hire people from away. So it's interesting. And it remind me about BI a few years ago when BI was very difficult, and now we have self-service BI with almost any business user without knowing how to do cubes and so forth can do BI. So interesting. You talk about AutoML. Interesting. So we spoke about data first, in regulation, and federated data is important. Okay, for had good AI. Okay, then we need data scientists, or at least platforms that help business to do AI. But here, but let's assume that then we have data scientists and we have data and everything. So some people may think that success of AI relies on have a good model with accuracy and precision. But for me, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's just a nuance of a bigger challenge, which is trust. So João, the next question I think is for you. My opinion, the question is, do you think the lack of trust in the models and the difficult to explain, especially deep learning black box models, could slow down the adoption by doctors and practitioners? What is your view on that, and how are you tackling it? João, I think you're in mute, sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was. So yes, I think trust, beforehand we have even data strategy for AI or for analytics, for that matter. Trust and confidence around the data and what is in the basics of this it's paramount. Yes, of course. Healthcare market has security and confidence issues around these processes. We have to work with the teams, to the doctors, with nurses, with the operational teams, so that they can understand where the information that we use for the models comes from, what are the processes behind it. We are not expecting to explain the models themselves. It's not that the purpose. We have to have good skills, good teams that know what they do about modeling. That's not the purpose, but rather to embed the results of the models in the processes that we have in a daily basis. The confidence that we need, it's not in the modeling, it's rather in the results and in the trust in what we do. So I think that's the way we are tackling this. We don't expect to have modeling in every corner of the company. We have a central team to tackle this, and as Anna said, we have to democratize this access. We have to have teams experimenting, but in terms of having productive solutions with AI, we are adopting them in the business processes. So we are in the process of explaining how things work, how the results can be monitored, so that we can have the real trust in the models to work with them. So it's a way of doing things. Because we are already having some partnerships and some projects that can bring us this adoption. What you talked about in terms of our internal teams and the skills needed for modeling, it's a different matter. It's difficult to set up a team like this. It's difficult to have it spread around the organization. So the way we are doing it, it's in a progressive way. So we are tackling some modeling with partnerships with universities, with pilots inside the CUF, so that we can have the trust, and also that this team can rely on its own results and to share them with the company. So with that, the movement has already begun, and we are trusting that it can come up with the results needed in a few months and years. Yes.
Okay. I think smart as well. So you're basically involving everybody into the AI, business, doctors, universities. So then they are part of that journey, and they get trust when models will be deployed. Okay. You talk about proof of concepts or pilots. Okay. And Bruno Coelho is going to speak tomorrow in the keynote. Very interesting. But I'm just going to highlight a little bit. So my experience, I see obviously proof of concept being done in organizations, but just a few go to production, and even fewer they are delivering the results that we expect. Well, AI still is a very handcraft, I would say, activity, and so different tools are involved in the life cycle of AI, and even inside the same squad or team, you have data scientists that they use different or can use different technologies, frameworks, or programming language. So the second megatrend that Gartner identified was AI industrialization. So my question here, a little bit more open, is what you're doing in your companies to ensure this industrialization of AI. So moving from proof of concepts to productionize and fast. So what type of AI, ML infrastructure are you using, tools, governance to ensure usability, scalability, and safe AI? So João, you might have a position on this. I'll start with you.
Yes, of course. So what we understand, and as I said, the fundamentals for us were about the architecture and the cloud adoption we did with this program. So for data and analytics, we are fully cloud, and that gives us some flexibility around deploying small or bigger solutions in terms of experimenting AI or even other analytics solutions. So that's the way we are doing it with the corporate data lake and data warehouse that we created, and the federated data that we already have. It's quite easy to step up and to do some experimenting around these projects. The architecture that we have behind is fully serviced architecture for this. It's also a plus. So the data that we need to experiment, if it isn't already federated, it's easy to access it, and we can at least experiment and design around the concept. Afterwards, if it is already approved, the concept, and if we have to scale it, it's easier to deploy a bigger solution and a productive solution. So that's the way we are doing this.
Okay, great. And you mentioned clouds, and I think cloud actually makes things easier, okay, because it's easy to deploy, don't have to bother about infrastructure, which I think takes time sometimes, and it can scale automatically. So Jorge, any comments, any position about this?
Yeah, I align a lot with what João said. I mean, first, talking about scalability and industrialization, it's impossible to industrialize anything if you don't standardize. So, so one of the challenges that we have is to standardize the tools that we use in development and deployment of analytic models. As you know, we're making a journey to the cloud as well, and we've been deploying data lakes and algorithms and systems into the Microsoft Azure cloud. We are extensive users of the components of the Azure ecosystem for data and analytics, but also we feel the need to allow teams to explore and to innovate with different tools and with more cutting edge tools, even little known tools, as long as obviously we're not producing tools to use operationally in the short term. So basically, we separate very clearly what is Horizon 1, Horizon 2 innovation with Horizon 3, where you're looking into much less mature technologies and much more cutting edge, if you will, tools. So basically, we try to standardize in the short term and let people explore and give a lot more latitude to innovate in the longer term.
Okay, well, that's very interesting because so cloud as well, okay, a pattern, and you said that you have a reference architecture. So in the short term, so people can be aligned and it's more easy for people to speak with the same technology. And then you're exploring new things. So very interesting. Anna, any comments? Share the same opinion as your colleagues? Do you want to share more things that you're doing?
Yeah, I think I share the same opinion and I share the same challenges as my colleagues. We as Vodafone, we are an international group, and we also try to leverage on this capability of resources that are spread around the world. And again, to be able to reuse the code that is being developed in one another country, of course, there needs to be a standardization. And we are trying to balance this need for standardization with the need to explore and to test and to see whatever fits into our reality. So we are currently in smaller opcos like Portugal. We still are able to test and to use whatever tools and methods that we want to use. But when we want to reuse whatever our colleagues are doing, we really need to move to a standard solution. In this way, the adoption of Google Cloud, that's our case, we adopted Google Cloud and we are moving data there, also supports this standardization because it's a common data lake where the data is available. But again, we have different data lakes or data ponds that are different from country to country. So we need to standardize this data. It's not always possible. It's a huge challenge. We need to have data models on top of it so we can see the same business information on top of it, so the models can work in the same way for different countries. And we are on the process of setting this up. While we don't do this, it's more or less a case by case. So if I develop a model in Italy and I prove the concept and I know it works, I can bring the knowledge, but I cannot just bring it and plug and play. Not like that. We need to adjust it. We need to adjust it to the data that you have available. But well, at least the knowledge is already there, and at least we know how to work the use cases itself, and then it's just a matter of adoption. But definitely we need to standardize a little bit more so we can take the benefit of this reuse of code between opcos. Yep.
Okay, but you touched an interesting point. So the model repository, that it's something that we speak in AI ops. So basically, it's getting, obviously, you have scale, getting the knowledge from the other geos, putting this in a sort of a library of models, but don't use it just, you just make sure that you describe what is there in the model, in making sure that when people use it, they use it with the right, for the right use case. So very interesting. So we spoke about here about what you're doing, the use cases, the breakthroughs. We spoke about the challenge and how you're tackling, and I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of plans for next year. Okay, things are moving faster and faster. So the next question is basically, I would like to know if you can share what is your strategic goals and targets for 2021. So Anna, you might go first.
Yes, sure. So definitely we want to increase know-how in this area. We want to upskill our people, and we want to turn AI into a tool that it's naturally in our daily activity. We want to talk about it until there is nothing else to talk about it. It's just embedded. It's like Excel or something else. We use it. That's it. So this is definitely the move forward. Again, we already have some use cases that are related to improve the customer experience. Vodafone, is really customer centric and customer oriented, and this is why our use cases are usually focused on improving customer experience. And this is where we want to improve and where we want to leverage on AI. We want to do it better, we want to do it faster, and we want to react faster to our customer needs. So this is really where we want to focus on, bringing the right insights from the data sources that we have available, structured data sources, not structured data sources, whatever. But we want to really work this information in a better way so we can take actions faster and to improve the customer experience. That's our strategy.
Okay. So basically, you're transforming the data and using the data to a much more customer-centric company. Okay, putting the customer first. Okay, interesting. It touches the point that we said that customers are each time more demanding. So interesting. João, do you want to share your plan? Anything on the roadmap?
Yeah, of course. We want to build up in these partnerships that we already addressed this year. So not only to have continuous improvement on the pilots that we already did, but to also to experiment new areas. In the matter that we go from NLP that we already addressed to speech to text, that we need to go in our internal processes. Of course, there is also the client side, of course, that we want to explore, and that's another area that we'll be touching next year in terms of AI. Nevertheless, as I said, the foundations are already set, and AI, as Anna said, shouldn't be nothing less but another chapter in our company. It's another way, another team, or another look into the data that we already have. And the confidence and trust must be put upon that.
Okay, awesome. Making solid foundations, not just go quickly, but ensure that you have solid foundations to move steady, step by step. Okay, interesting.
Jorge, yeah.
Okay, awesome, João. Obrigado. Jorge, so you had been last year and this year as well heavily leveraging digital factory within EDP. Okay, basically an incubator of ideas. Do you want to continue to push innovating inside EDP? Do you want to share your plans?
Yeah, I mean, I see the digital factory more like an enabler of transformation within the organization, more than an incubator of ideas. Of course, there's a component of innovation in what we do, but the real issue is with taking the most exciting technologies that are out there, the most exciting digital technologies that are out there, and put them to use in day-to-day problems, making people's lives easier, and making customers happier, and making the operation more efficient. I mean, in that case, specifically regarding AI, as you said, I mean, last year and this year, we've been investing heavily, and we have a couple of success stories already to tell within the organization in very focused efforts in certain business units. I think the challenge for 2021 is to scale that, replicate those success stories across other business units, across other geographies, and solidify the use of AI in a sustainable way. At the same time, in putting together a governance process that allows us to scale sustainably and learn from the best practices out there.
Okay, interesting. So you touched a little bit the point of Anna. So you're basically using EDP, what you have to scale then to the other business units, taking advantage of what you already had done and continue to standardize, as João was saying, making sure that data, the foundations are there to continue to push innovation. Okay, cool. So let's move a little bit beyond now, okay? Let's, a little bit more fantasy, if you want to say. Imagine 2025, you have a crystal ball here. So we saw examples as today that you were using AI in the more narrow specific tasks, okay? But as more data will come, and we touched that, okay, and computer power will evolve, cloud or not cloud, I think a new form of AI will be created, okay? People speak about artificial general intelligence. Some of them, they say that it's in 10 years, some say in 100, but I'm sure that we're going to get there. I don't know if in 2025, but as CEO of Google said, AI is one of the most important things that humanity is working on at the moment, even more profound than fire or electricity. So we're reaching to the end of the session, and I'm going to pose you a last question, okay, a couple of questions. But beforehand, I'm going to introduce a trailer of iHuman that touches a little bit about the dangers and impact that AI may have in society. So then I'll make you questions.
Humankind as a whole is not the crown of creation. We are setting the stage for something that transcends us. A new form of life is emerging.
Artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping the world.
It's going to be everywhere all the time. It's going to hear everything. It's going to be connected to every single camera on the planet.
AI will ultimately be the best thing ever to happen to humanity, or the worst thing ever. That's why this is the most important conversation of our time.
If we look at what AI is mostly being developed for, it's killing, spying, and brainwashing.
Computer algorithms can reveal our political views or sexual orientation. Privacy is gone.
We as humanity are about to go into a very dark time.
Cyber attacks, fake news, totally automated AI weapons. AI is going to be the most important technology in the history of the planet. Will humans actually benefit?
Think carefully about this. We're basically building a god.
What we're seeing now is like a train hurtling down a dark tunnel, and it looks like we're sleeping at the wheel.
Okay, so first of all, if you like political, philosophical AI thrillers, I suggest you to see this documentary. It's very interesting. It's free on Vimeo, so you can check it out. So the trailer touches a little bit about deepfakes, okay? And it's a reality, it's happening. Are you concerned that deepfakes, so fake images, news, could be used by companies to try to get competitive advantage? So, maybe João, I'll start with you. Do you have any comments on that?
Not directly. Even what I think about on this topic is that even using wrong data, so it's a problem already. If we want to use not only internal data sets in our companies or in what we productize, we want to use external data sets. We want to expand on the vision of that. So I'm a bit frightened to not have the certification processes or the accreditation processes that might be in place on the markets to have the confidence that we are using the right data for the models and the AI that we are producing nowadays already. But yes, that could be an issue in the future. Yes.
Okay. And do you think, we know that telcos are very competitive. Do you think that could be used some kind of fake data to influence the opinion of your customers? It's
I don't think
everything
so.
matters. No.
No, not everything matters. Well, AI is like a knife. You can decide to use it either for bad or for good, of course. And I think we have here three responsible companies that I truly believe that will never use data for harm of our customers, and only to support them and to bring additional value and things that are useful for our customers. So I don't see an issue there. I think we have a good ethics in place. We also have a good governance in place that support us and prevents any deviation of bringing good solutions and not using this like it shouldn't be used. So I'm quite confident that this will not be an issue. But even regarding fake data and fake images, yes, this is an issue. And like we are saying, every time fake data is created, this feeds again new algorithms, new models, new things, and we need to have some means to control it so we do not propagate the creation of bad solutions or bad information that lead to bad actions. So this is something to be under control. But again, I think we can use AI for bad, but I think we are also intelligent and we can tune and find solutions also based on AI to look for this fake data and for these fake images and news, so we can, again, this is like the cat and the mouse. We should use AI also to chase for these bad examples.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. A hammer can be good or bad, depend how you use it. So regulation then have to come and help. Jorge, any thoughts about it? It's a little bit, we are just looking at the future, but I just want to pose this provocative question. Any comments about it?
It's a question that needs to be posed. Although personally, I'm an optimist, so I think that the video we saw is a little bit on the dark side, on the negative side of AI. What we need to think is that every technology, no matter what, every technology has a good use and a bad use. Technology itself is not good or bad. It can be used for good and for bad. You can use nuclear energy to power entire cities or countries, or you can use it to build a bomb. So it will be the same with AI. It was the same with IT. It's the same with the internet. For every great startup, for every great new business model, for every Uber and every Facebook, you also have cyber criminals attacking entire nations. So it's the good use versus the bad use. It will be the same with AI. There's no way around it. What we need to build are measures of detecting how the technology is being used, to control it, to govern it, and of course to catch the bad guys, because there will be bad guys as always. But I want to believe that there also will be very good guys building amazing things. And I would like to on this topic pay a homage to a man that I admire, in a very wise person in AI as well in Portugal, Professor Arlindo Oliveira from Técnico, and he basically he published an article very recently in Público. You might have read it, about AlphaFold, the algorithm from Google that is now solving a 50-year-old huge problem of DNA sequencing and the composition of proteins.
3D image about proteins.
It's the holy grail, basically being chased for 50 years. And his article is beautifully written and ends exactly with a paragraph that says, We talk a lot and we think a lot about the bad uses of AI, the deep fakes, the whatnot, but then most of these times we forget that AI can be used to do wonderful things and to solve the great challenges of humanity. So I'd like to end on this positive note.
And I'd agree with you. I think we are hardwired to fear, and this led us here, the evolution. So we're afraid of lions millions of years ago. So we are afraid of AI now because we cannot control, we cannot know what's happening. But this is good, as you're saying, because in the end of the day, it will be humans who use AI. So awesome.
Yeah.
So my last question, very quickly. We speak about massive unemployment, okay? So my next question is, how do you see your industries in 2025? Do you think this will happen to you? How you envision your industries, if I may ask? So Jorge, I may start with you.
You mean massive unemployment caused by AI?
Well, yeah, automation. We say that we're living in a fourth industrial revolution. Industrial revolution. So my question is, how do you think AI will transform your business? Will it create massive unemployment? No.
I mean, listen, it's the same again. The same thing. For every negative, there's a positive.
Okay.
For every cloth washer that used to wash clothes in the river for money, maybe now there's a washing machine technician. For every horse rider that would take you from Lisbon to Cascais for a sum of money, now there's a taxi driver. So yes, there will be unemployment, of course, but those businesses or those métiers that are destroyed or that cease to exist will be replaced by new expertise, by new demands. So there's a fantastic article as well from MIT Press talking exactly about this, about the new types of jobs that will arise from AI. So you'll need people to continue feeding algorithms with data. You need data curators. You need people to ensure that the algorithms keep churning out results that are sane and aligned with what the algorithms were built to do. There will be a number of new types of skills needed to cope with AI and to evolve AI. So will there be unemployment? Yes, there will be unemployment, but there also will be a lot of new employment generated by AI. So I'm overly positive. I think probably my sons, who today are 1 and 5 years old, will have jobs that we never have heard of today, and I'm excited for them.
Awesome. Anna, any different thoughts? You agree with Jorge?
No, I fully agree. I think jobs will be different. I think there will be some jobs that will no longer exist and some old jobs that will be kept. So we will still be needing people to cook for us, and we will have restaurants and we will have things like that, and we will have new jobs. I think that the transformation, I truly believe that we will be more complex society, and this complexity will also come from the solutions and from the products that we will be able to create. We will have customers that will be more demanding. They will want us to react faster. They will want to have everything on just by clicking a button and have everything available. So we will also need to have people that will be able to give those solutions to them. So it will be an adjustment to an even more complex world that will come.
Okay. I do agree with you as well, Anna. João, any final thoughts? Closing the panel.
Just two quick ideas. Even not about jobs only, but new businesses. This will create new businesses, new ideas, new ways of being in different markets. So I think that's the way to go. We have to reinvent some things, reinvent ourselves, and what we talked about awareness and upskilling. It's not just for corporates, it's not just for companies. People individually should look into this. So it's a new era, and opportunities may rise up, and we have to catch them together and to evolve as a society, of course.
Okay. I fully agree with you. I had to ask these questions because a lot of people are afraid about things that they don't control. But as anything in life, we have to adapt to the situation that we're living. So definitely some of us will have to upskill or reskill our knowledge, but this is what we had happened. So very interesting. So I believe we don't have any time left. I'm looking at the clock. So my last question actually goes to the audience. So do you have any comments, any opinions on those topics? Do you already had 2021 a roadmap? Well, whether yes or not, pass by our virtual booth and interact with us in our company chat, pose questions to the panel. We'll be happy to answer those. So wrapping up saying, well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for insightful. We had 3 persons from 3 different areas, 3 different business, but fully aligned. And it's a pleasure to see that we are pushing AI, we are moving forwards, and we are very aligned. So it was a pleasure to speak with you. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experience with us. Well, thank you so much at home or wherever you are that joined this session, okay? Hope that you had enjoyed, and again, I hope that you had interact. So looking forward for 2021 edition, and hopefully in a COVID-free edition. So bye Kat, bye Anne, bye Jorge, bye João. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Nice being here. Bye.
Thank you.